You know, family traditions define so much of how we see ourselves. And from a very young age, we learn through the usual things. Maybe it's food or dance or language. But what about the books we read and who we read them to? Well, Indigenous author Samantha Beynon has written a unique book that you and your children will enjoy. Samantha, hello there and welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well now. As a member of the Nisga'a Nation, is it too late to wish you Hobiye?
Not at all. Totally the time of Hobier right now.
Hobiye for you as well. Now tell us about this beautiful book, Oolichan Moon. What's it about?
Yeah, so I have it here with me. Oolichan Moon is about a story about two daughters or two sisters that were actually staying at their grandparents' home in the Nisga'a Valley. And throughout the story, they are learning a wealth of information from their grandparents. And yeah, it's just a really fun story where they're learning all of this sacred information along with the realness behind it. The two sisters are a little bit cheeky in the story and they're fighting. And when I'm reading it out loud, I notice like that's the big part that the children love. And yeah, so it's all about the Oolichan fish, right down to how we eat it, our ancestors ate it, and the significance behind Hobier in the story.
Well, you and I both grew up in the north. We both born and raised in Prince Rupert, and I know the Oolichan and the Oolichan Run in the spring was a big part of us growing up. We'd go up to the Skeena River or even the Nass Valley. That's where the Oolichan Run. But what is special about these wonderful little fish? I know, but why don't you tell everyone else?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this little fish is so diverse in so many ways. Not the only way that you can just, eat it, but it is so oily when dried. The little fish can actually be lit like a candle. And the importance of the Oolichan fish is the oil, so the Oolichan grease, and how we still use that today, and how our ancestors preserved them and would put them in big bentwood boxes and trade with surrounding nations. But the big thing for me when I was growing up was when I was sick and we would have to put a little bit in our ear. I would heat mine up and then I would just drink it. But for me, it's just the diversity in which this little tiny fish offers.
Yes, well, again, a real natural medicine too, and again, that beautiful, rich oil that was really like gold back in the day. Now,
Yeah.
why were you sort of directing this at children? I mean, how does that sort of reflect your own upbringing?
Yeah, well, we didn't have a lot of Indigenous literature when I was growing up, and it started to become a little bit more popular. And then since moving home from my community, I've been studying at Vancouver Island University, finishing my degree in the Bachelor of Education program. And throughout studying, I became fascinated with my culture and learning history. So a lot of the courses I took on the side were Indigenous history courses. And yeah, so I just kind of fell in love with learning more about my heritage. And then I kind of combined the two. Wanting to create something to benefit the children, along with all of the information that I was learning throughout school.
Well, and it's interesting because there is a little bit of history here, isn't there? Where your passion for writing and finding out more about your family history. Tell us about your great grandfather and the connection there.
Yeah, so my great grandfather is William Beynon on my father's side. And I always knew about my great grandfather learning in school. We would tell lots of stories, and I knew the importance of the good work that he was doing. But it wasn't until I got to university really realizing the significance behind it and all the good work that he was doing. So we both kind of have similar stories, but my great grandfather, he was born in 1888 in Victoria to a Welsh father, and then his mother was Nisga'a Simshian. He had six brothers, and he was the only one that was fluent in his Tsimshian language. So increasingly, he became more eager to learn about his his history and where he came from. And so he ended up going to Lams, and he ended up taking on a role as a hereditary chief. But just like him, he liked to study and learn and write. And yeah, and so I thought that was really cool, but it's kind of following in his footsteps a little bit because, he's a huge, one of my biggest role models, and I definitely want to carry on a lot of that good
Well,
work.
sure. And he left behind a whole treasure trove of microfilm and sort of a lot of artifacts in there as well, and records of what it was like for First Nations communities back there. What does, back in that time, I mean, what does that mean for you, just in terms of your own family identity?
Yeah, so I seen those microfilms being found at the Tea Creek Training and Employment farm there. It was incredible, and what a huge find. I have spoken to someone there, and they are just a great organization, and they are hoping to kind of keep these in a safe place and then hand them off in Indigenous ways.
What's next for you? You've got this beautiful book out. What are you pursuing?
Yeah, so I love writing. I would like to continue writing right now. I'm a teacher student right now, teaching grade 5 and 6 in my last year. And then part-time, I work at Bridges for Women as a cultural competency developer kind of writer. So I put together these manuals, and that's going to help benefit our organization. So right now, I'm just really wanting to write more, focus a lot of time on my two young daughters who are only 4 and 6. And yeah, just kind of continue learning, and hopefully just any way I can benefit our community.
Well, thank you for shining a light on your community with us this morning. Thank you so much, Samantha.
Thank you.